If you've ever started a brand new website, you probably know that the most difficult time for most people is in the content creation phase before your content's ranking.